Welcome to a new video series entitled Strategic Capitalism. I'm Richard Devaney from the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth College, and in this video series we'll be gaining insights about my latest book, Strategic Capitalism, New Economic Strategy for Winning the Capitalist Cold War. These short videos are interviews with senior executives and CEOs from a variety of industries talking about what it will take for America to win the capitalist Cold War. Do you think that the United States should make a major effort to rebuild the manufacturing sector, and how would you go about doing that as the leader of one of America's largest manufacturing firms?
Well, I think it should be a focus of ours. I think we need to be realistic that I don't think we need to be in every industry. I don't think we would have a competitive advantage. I don't think economically it would be desirable for us. But there are certainly many industries, autos, steel, others that you certainly can be, chemicals another one, be competitive. And I think when you look at one of the challenges we have compared to some other countries, and I think China is a good example of this, is we really lack a comprehensive, cohesive industrial strategy in this country. And I think, the byproduct of that is a tax policy that will allow us to grow, a policy on raw materials and sourcing it and protecting that, a policy on reacting to countries that aren't practicing fair trade practices that may put you at a competitive disadvantage, setting up incentives for companies to invest in this country. We're not looking for freebies, but we are looking for a level playing field. And so I think we can be competitive in many industries. And I think in many industries, you look at high tech, you look at Google, you look at healthcare, you look at pharmaceuticals. We are the world's leaders in those. But manufacturing, I think we've lost some of that competitive edge. And I think it's because we really don't have a well thought out industrial strategy. And that, I think, hurts us. And so some of those things I talked about, I think would really benefit to bringing that back.
It's very interesting for me to hear that you're looking for industrial policy when so many others are interested in more and more free markets. Do you believe that free markets are an advantage, or how much government interference in policy would be necessary or desirable?
I do believe in free markets, and I think one of the things that made this country great is the fact that we do have free markets, and it's bred generations of entrepreneurs that have successfully built, whether it's the banking industry, the industrial base, the software industry, et cetera. I'm a huge believer in free markets. But I don't think that's necessarily counter to having some policies that are well thought out around taxation. It doesn't mean you need more taxation. It may mean you need less taxation on corporations. But part of having a policy is coming up with a strategy, whatever that strategy is, and then actually executing it. And I think by industrial policy, it doesn't mean more regulation. I actually think we're overly regulated now. We're a company, for instance, that deals a lot with the EPA, and I think there's many things that actually hinder growth as a result of that. What it means is a well thought out strategy about what does it take to grow, and then allowing companies to grow. So an industrial strategy can actually, I think, accelerate that free market and that entrepreneurialism, not necessarily hinder it. I don't mean it as more regulation. I mean it as a well thought out. How do you approach growth in business and in executing it?
In class, you like to point out that the Chinese system is allowing for changes to happen at a much more rapid pace, and that they're able to implement strategies that are set by the government very quickly as well. And so China has some advantages in its ability to act compared to what we have in a democracy. Do you have any suggestions for how we would improve our democracy in order to be able to achieve that speed?
I think what allows the Chinese to do that, and I'm not recommending we go to a Chinese system, what's made America great is the system it's under, but I think if you're realistic, the autocratic rule in China does concentrate power into a much smaller group. And if that group happens to be operating in an effective, efficient manner, you can actually expedite decision making and implementation. I actually think when you look at China, with their industrial policy has been very impressive in the way they've been. You may agree with it, you may disagree with it, but they've implemented what they said they were going to do. What I don't know how to solve, I'm not smart enough, is the political impasse that seems to have developed in this country. And I don't always think that was the case. You know, we had the give and take historically, but eventually people came together and worked together. For whatever reason, right now that seems not to be happening particularly effectively. And I think that has become a roadblock to growth. And candidly, I don't have an easy answer for that right now. Because as a business person, I see a direct set of issues arising out of that, and overregulation and things that are slowing down decision making by businesses and investment by businesses. And you know, it's like saying, how do you fix Washington? Well, right now I don't have a one quick answer for that. Is it doable? Yeah, I think we operated for centuries very successfully. But we seem to be in a logjam right now that's very tough to break.
Do you have any idea what's causing that?
I mean, interestingly enough, I think one of the things that causes it is when you look at media and the proliferation of media and the fact that there's specific segments of media, for instance, whether it's on the internet or TVs, cable TVs, it actually becomes somewhat polarizing. And so I think, if anything, we've become more polarized as a society and further apart. You know, it used to be you watched Walter Cronkite, and it was one voice to the world, which kind of brought people together. Now people go to Fox or they go to MSNBC, and the two shall never meet. And so I think it actually drives people apart. Not a right, not wrong. It's just my view of what I see happening. And so I see people being more fractured rather than coming together to solve problems.